What's up, bitches? I'm gonna do some dishes and talk, because I gotta get this shit out. I'm not gonna be very friendly about it, though, just so you know. So I got some shit going on, man. So, it's a lot of light coming in there. I guess that doesn't really do much, huh? Oh well. So there's some shit going on at work. That I have to deal with. And today I had to go do the thing and talk to him, and it went well. But like I still have a job and all that. And they appeared to be very supportive, whatnot. And, supportive, I guess. But, I'm apprehensive because, the first guy seemed pretty supportive. Both of them seemed pretty supportive. Anyway, okay, so, I know I talk a lot about, what happened at that crazy house where I painted all over everything, right? And this is kind of, where we're at now is, the culmination of that. It's the same thing, I guess, for lack of better words. I'm still, flustered from trying to talk to these people. Because every time I try to talk about it, fucking PTSD shit. But I'm already I've already been PTSD'd out for the last couple weeks, so definitely last week. Now it's 2 weeks. Fuck. Anyway, I don't know where to start. Let's start with the assholes at work. So work got weird, right? People at work start getting weird, and people at work always get weird, right? This ain't my first rodeo, okay? Ever since the good old divorce. And the good old, me being a cunt, telling on the old man, right? And I've talked before about how that's just our culture. The culture treats victims like shit, even when, we're not trying to be a victim, unless if you fucked up that bad when you telling somebody like that, especially someone in power, then, you're persona non grata, right? And it's been that way for many years now. And, I know this shit, right? But, I had to deal with some shit. And, I don't care. It is my problem, but that's, your game is not my problem, right? And I've talked about that before, about how, that's, my mission in life. I'm not doing that shit, right? But I tried, right? So I try to just deal with it. So there's some fuckery started at work, right, where they would, weirdness, right? So first my boss leaves me a note and tries to act like he's not, but I saw him write it, he made it obvious that the note was from him, left it there, but it was just weird, right? And it was, I do believe it was meant for me to, scramble and try to freak out, oh my god, what did he mean, or maybe set me up to think that he had a crush or some shit. I'm not really sure, but the whole point of it is to freak out about it and waste all your time and energy. What does it mean? Because that's one of the ways that motherfuckers, will your significant other will abuse, right? And it's common, very common, way more common than battery, but that's how the patriarchy keep their control, right? That whole hierarchy and whatnot. Anyway, so we left a note, and then that was the first weird thing, and then I told you guys about the grill with that one chick. Took my grill to her house, and then she said it got stolen, but I just don't believe it got stolen. I think her boyfriend stole it, because she told me her boyfriend steals packages from the fucking neighbors and shit, to where they almost got addicted. Anyway, it's weird shit, right? So, and after that, so May I actually talked about this on another video, but I had to delete the video because I was talking a little bit too much about my daughter's business, right? But we'll recap. One of the ex's flying monkeys was harassing my daughter, and so he was escalating, right? And my daughter told me, so I said, hey, what the fuck, get the fuck out of here. So then he popped off on me, right? And like kept texting me from different numbers and was bringing up my job and shit and my house and was like showing pictures of my work in my apartment building. Like, you shouldn't know any of that, right? Like, there's no reason for me to tell him. I guess I get like he drove the kids to my house before, so, but still, like, anyway. He had to leave, he got mad at me, and then called my daughter a liar and all this shit, right? So, but it like kind of set me into a thing, I was tripping about, a kid, and so, it flared up the old PTSD or BDs, and, I was like, not doing well at work even, right? So, and then, so since he brought up my work, I was like, kind of, tripping, he's gonna, talk some shit to my work, make me lose my job, whatever, because that's just, again, the nature of the beast. That's one of the things that, they just done it before, I'll do it again, And I've been there for a while, so I felt comfortable. I felt safe, right? Not totally safe, but I felt safe enough I wanted to bring it to someone's attention, but not necessarily put it on paper, upper management style, because then, it would be like the less people that knew about it, the better. Because what happens is, when we speak about it, it escalates, always. The bro code, speak about it, especially to a bro, or anybody, really, because, systemic be systemic, right? But as soon as you speak up, it escalates, right? And every time you speak up, it escalates. So, but I know this, right? And it's like, okay, well, you shouldn't speak up ever, but at the same time, fuck you, no, right? Like, we have to speak up, or else the culture will never change, And people will say, oh, well, the culture is, the culture's changed, man. We have laws against that. But the culture, we do have laws against domestic violence, right? And we have laws against discrimination, like based on race and shit like that, or sex or whatever, all kind of shit. But the culture still hasn't caught up with the law, right? The law has changed, but the culture hasn't, right? So there's different ways of, like, fucking with somebody to where you can't even prove it, right? Well, that's how that started. That's how I believe that's how it started at work, and that's why it started at work. But there was already, like, I already felt weirdness, but, I'm a paranoid person, so, feds everywhere, right? And I would joke about the feds at work, even before they felt feddy, even though it kind of felt feddy early on. But, again, that could be mine, right? What's mine, what's yours? So what's theirs, And I understand that that's mine, okay? So I would just put the weirdness aside and go along, go along with my day. Well, then it got real fucking weird. So after I told the boss that, so I just told my immediate supervisor, hey, and I was very vague about it, details enough to let him know how serious it was, of why I was upset, and this is why I think that he could come and start trouble, and this is the kind of trouble he could start. Not like danger to anyone else, but he could start trouble for me. So, in case, and I even told him, I said, I don't really know what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to do anything, but if you if you get any weird phone calls, or, you get weird accusations or something from a guest or something that just sounds out of character for me, because he knows me pretty well. We had been there like, 6, 7, 8 months by then, right? 6, 7 months? I don't know, something like that. And he always seemed very supportive and very cool, right? And he, so he got it. He understood it. He said he did. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. He even said something about you could ask if I had support, shit like that. And said that, and I told him, no, I don't have any support. I don't have no friends, nothing because of this, right? And, he's like, okay, well, I recommend, I said, I highly encourage you to, lean on your coworkers. And I'm like, I probably won't do that, because keep talking about it, and then, whatever. I just didn't want the problem. I just wanted him to know that, hey, I don't want to lose my job because I like it there, right? And if I have to have a shit job, I'd like it to be there. I dig what they're all about and the whole thing, right? I even, applied for a job there before, and anyway. I felt safe enough to tell him that much, and even told him why I wasn't taking it directly to, HR and putting it, or, the managers, the big managers, and putting it on paper, because I wasn't trying to, cause any more problems for myself or anyone else. I just wanted to get ahead of potential problems, right? Cool, whatever. But then, right after that, like, shit got weird. It started getting real fucking weird, right? Extra fetty. I was like, fucking knew it, right? Like, shit. But, I just kind of brush it off because, like, whatever, what are you gonna do? Everybody doing it. So, alright, whatever. And it's just dumb shit, right? But then, it escalated, right? So after I just ignored the original dumb shit, the little comments here and there that I know dog whistles call them, whatever. Weirdness that I can handle. Okay, cool. Fuck it. This ain't my first rodeo. Let's do this. Okay, cool. Well, then it started getting really weird. It got escalated to more weirdness, right? By the way, the boss never said shit about that note ever, right? So weird. So then it escalated to the people coming into my rooms. Like I would have my backpack with me, and I started carrying my backpack with me and not leaving it in a locker because one day at work I had my period while I was at work through my pants, right? And I'm on like the 4th floor, I think, at the time. My backpack is in a locker down on the 1st floor, right? So I couldn't even get to, I'm like, fuck, I gotta finish this real quick, and I gotta run downstairs. Well, I made a mess, a little crime scene in the panties, and I had to tell the boss, bro, I gotta go home. Like can't work like this, right? And instead of just being like, oh, hey, okay, cool, right, take whatever. He wasn't mean about it, but he was like a little weird about it. Like, well, don't you know when that's gonna happen? Like, what can we do to not let this happen in the future? And I'm like, well, it just kind of happens. And he's like, well, when it's gonna happen, right? And I'm like, in here, like, I don't, because my shit goes from like 21 days to 28 days and back and forth, right? Because I'm getting fucking old, right? I'm like perimenopausal or whatever they call it shit. Anyway, so he was just kind of weird about it, right? Like, how can you take responsibility for this? Which I understand. It's my period, not his, right? Okay, cool. Part of the way I took responsibility for that was I'll just keep my backpack on me. My shit's right there. If I start feeling it, hey, right to the bathroom, because I'm always near a bathroom at work, right? Cool. So that's why I started carrying my backpack. And, like, it's got my knee pads, my shirt, my cigarettes, my wallet, like, anything I might need, it's right there all the time, right? Cool, no problem. Well, okay, so during my breaks, I'll go to a next room, and I'll stage all my stuff in there, right? Like my gear, my supplies, my backpack, and sometimes, most of the time, the supplies that I need for that room, right? I'll go grab all that shit and get it ready so that when I come back from break, it just boom, 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 right? So I started noticing that, like, things were missing that I had brought into a room. Like smaller stuff, like bundles of pillowcases, or towels, like certain towels or washcloths or whatever, right? Stuff I know I brought this in, and at first it was like, okay, well, you're kind of a stoner, maybe maybe you just forgot, but pay attention, right? Well, so I'm paying attention now, and now I'm like, now this is actually happening. I know I did that, I didn't take a fucking picture of it, which I should have, but whatever. Either way, I started paying attention and noticing it for sure. Stuff going missing out of the rooms of supplies. Then it was, the boss said, hey, see, this is one of the things I forgot to tell him today, even though I put it in an email. The boss said, hey, we need to start saving all the half-empty fucking bottles and shit, right? So I can give them to this homeless shelter. I said, all right, cool, that's really cool. I was going to do that myself. I didn't think they'd want to because it's got their name on it, right? Okay, cool. So we're just supposed to leave them in the room at the end. Cool. So I started doing that, obviously. And then, so right after we started doing that, which this was all after, I want to say June, maybe? I don't know. I didn't write that shit down. Well, now I will come back from break, and there'll be like half-empty shit in my caddy, instead of full ones. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe there was a half-empty, but then you pay more attention, And now it's happening all the time. Like, dude, I know. I made sure to pay attention when I picked these up out of the supplies, and they were full, but now I come back from break and they're not full. Now it's all these half-empty ones, right? And now I have to go, take time out of my shit to go do that, right? But this was, like, going on for a couple months, dude, since, like, June, July, somewhere around there. And then in August, fucking boss man, like, kind of came down on me. He changed all the things. He changed instead of being done at 4, which they've always been done at 4, now we need to be done earlier, and now we need to do extra stuff, right? I was like, fuck, okay. Well, and I had just finally got my rhythm down to be able to get it done, right? Already by 4. But now he's changed it. Now we gotta be done faster. Okay, cool. So in August, he comes at me. I had a bad week, man. But he was giving me, like, extra, rooms on 3 different floors instead of just 1 floor with all your rooms. 3 different floors, late checkouts, like things that will add time to your day, right? And so he picked a day where I had like 2 late checkouts and I was on 3 different floors. And at 3:45, or 3:50, whatever, he comes into my room and he's like, "What's going on, man? Like, for weeks you've been late." And I'm like, "No, I haven't. Like, but I just got used to doing this, man." And but it caught me off guard, right? Because, PTSD, I'd be freaking out about confrontation, and he's the boss, right? He's the guy who stands between me and homelessness, right? And y'all know how much I love being homeless. So, it freaks me out, and I'm like, and I stammer over my words, whatever, and I'm just like, "I'm sorry," and then, he leaves or whatever, and then I go put my shit away, and as I'm kind of ruminating, and I'm like, wait a second, like, what he just said to me is wrong. This hasn't been for this many weeks, and whatever. He's lying, and he's being weird about it, and I haven't seen him say that shit to anyone else, right? And, like, and so I put all my stuff away, and I was going to clock out, get my radio and shit. I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like, that wasn't cool, because, like, that's not true. This has not been for weeks. This has just been this week. And I was also on, 3 different floors and 2 late checkouts and stuff, and it's not cool." And I was kind of like, not choking. I mean, I was choking because I was trying to, like, learn how to stand up for myself without lashing out at people, right? Not that, fight with love, right? Okay, because you have to fight this shit. And I know he was wrong, right? I know he was wrong. And I had anyway, I'm trying to stand up for myself. But as I'm dealing with the confrontation and trying to be cool, I start freaking out, and I'm like, and I kind of froze after I got that much out, and he was just like, "I hear you." I was like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And that was it, right? Walked away. So then, but now I'm tripping on it, right? Because, I'm fucking conditioned to be like, "Oh, you done fucked up now," even if I'm standing up for myself. Now I'm starting to trip, like, I should just suck his dick. Not like suck his dick, but like suck his, fucking Mr. Boss. But at the same time, it's like, no. Like, my whole job in this life is to fight that shit, right? But learn how to do it right. But anyway. So he comes to me like a week later or so. It's like at the beginning of next month, on the 6th, he comes. I just wrote all these dates down so I remember the dates. And we talked again. I said, I'm sorry about tripping. And to be honest with you, like, I got daddy issues, man. And instead of saying I had PTSD, which I'd already told him that, but and he's like, "Nah, it's cool. I didn't mean to come down on you so hard. Like, I haven't been myself lately. Blah blah blah." Right? It's like, alright, we cool, right? That was in the beginning of September. Okay, so, but I still haven't like mentioned any of the weirdness, right? Like the stuff going missing and all that. And but during that time, I'm like, now I'm paying attention, like, okay, well, who is in the area when I'm coming back from break, right? And they know you're going on break because you call it on radio, by the way. And it's not hard to know where your room is. Usually your vacuum is outside, whatever. The boss knows where my rooms are, right? He has a list. And it's not hard to tell whether, for coworkers to tell where your shit is. But I'm noticing him and this other chick, the chick with the grill. I'm noticing it's them that are there. Now that I'm paying attention, I'm noticing it's them by the room when I'm coming back from break. So, okay, well, it must be them. obviously, and they're the ones acting weird, right? So, but I'm used to this, right? Like, this is my lot in life, right? This is not the first job this has happened at. The people at the arcade, I know a lot, some of the people that I talk to, like, know the stories and stuff. But they were, it's mobbing, really, But this chick would, like, she, like, fucking, basically, like, sexually harassed me in front of, like, everybody. Like, customers and everything, right? And, like, I'll be here at the counter, literally right here at the counter, and this bar is like literally small, probably the same size as the kitchen now that I think about it, my kitchen. The whole kitchen is this size. And here's the counter for the bar, and I'll be like helping a customer here and writing down their order for food, and I'll go over here to the beer cooler to grab a beer and come back, and the pad is gone. Like, right, it's just gone. And there's two people, which is the owner and this other black girl, right? And they're both just like, what? And I'm looking at the lady, like, that I'm helping, and she's just dumbfounded, right? She's like a deer in the headlights. Like, did that really just happen? And I'm like, right? And I'm like, okay, well, could you tell me your order again? Because, like, what do you do in that, Like, confront them, right? I know you took it, like, and caused a scene, but that's part of the nature of the beast. Anyway, so this is my first rodeo. That's the whole point of that. However, this is the last time that I'm going to just take it. Because, like, I know my rights. You know what I mean? And sorry that, like, all you guys, have your own culture to maintain, right? I have my own culture to maintain, right? You have a job to do. So do I. And my job is to not let this keep happening. And to do everything I can to stop it from happening, right? And that's the only way. It can't deal with it outside of work, the shit that happens outside of work. But I have to fight it, right? But, so as this first shit, I don't have my glasses on, I can't see anybody. Hi, guys. I see that you're there, but I don't see what you're saying. But I'm on a mission here. So, I noticed this weird shit going on, and I'm just like, okay, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right? Cool. Well, like, what are they gonna do? I can't tell anybody about it because then it's just gonna be like, why would anybody do that to you? Come and take your stuff. Are you sure you're not just misplacing it? Maybe you just forgot. Whatever, right? I already know the drill. So, and I know too, the whole point of it is to get a rise out of you, right? So I'm like, well, no, part of that just fucking, gangster up, right? So I don't. I just go about my day. Some days are worse than others, and some days I trip more and I'm like, fuck, And I'll be there just like yelling to myself, Not yelling, but talking to myself, at work. Cussing these people out for being cocksuckers, right? But just to myself. And the fucking feds in my headphones, or the NSA, or whoever the fuck is listening, right? But I get it out, okay? And then, but I do my job, and I'm pleasant to everybody. I'm nice, you know what I mean? I don't, even when I'm having the worst days, like, I don't bring it in there, and there's, like, this girl, for sure, she's one of them, she's one of the people that makes, like, every bad day like everybody else's problem, too, but I don't do that, because I already know, like, I'm already on thin ice just for existing still, so I have to at least be, whatever, I kiss their ass, you know what I mean, and I know I have barriers to employment, too, right, so I'm very nice to these people, yes sir, no sir, to people that are, like, 25, right, like, I'm all business, do my job, I try not to cut up too much on the radio like everybody else does, whatever. But and then I even started, like, kind of trying to hang out with people at work because that's what normal people do, right? And I was being invited and shit, so I was like, okay, going outside of my comfort zone to try to not be the typical, recovering victim of, oh, I can't go anywhere and I don't trust anybody, and I have to fight it a little bit, right? I have to grow. That's part of my, part of my job is to grow. Like, not just take it, and not, not just fight, but grow as a person, okay? So I don't let it go, but I don't say anything about it, and I don't let anybody know that they got my goat, you know what I mean? And I think that pissed him off. In fact, I know it did. Whatever. Either way, pissed off or not, it caused escalation. And I had not anticipated that it would, I didn't know what would happen, but I did know that confronting it would escalate it, right? Because now, if you just ignore it, and that's part of our things as survivors and victims, when we're dealing with that pattern of, the ongoing pattern of violence, pattern of behavior, including violence, you could just, if you stay in denial, right? The coping mechanism, that's the fucking battered woman syndrome and all that shit, right? The moment you speak up about it, now it's real, okay? But if you can just hide from it for as long as you can, so I was just in that, and I just didn't say anything. But I paid attention, but then, shit started coming missing out of my backpack, right? And again, that was one of those things where I thought, man, did I, lose that? Nobody would do that, right? Did somebody take that? Because I swear I just put that in there. It started out like that, and then, I was like, probably not. But then, I realized, okay, now I gotta pay attention. Well, then, shit started going fucking missing, and now I'm, paying attention to dates and shit, right? Now I'm writing this shit down, bro. And fucking my headphones, man. Shit, my headphones are my lifeline, dude. I would not be this far along in recovery, because now it's not just recovering from abuse, it's also recovering from mental health issues, right? The PTSD, because that abuse affected my mental health really, really fucking bad, right? But I'm responsible for that mental health, right? So, okay, well, I know how to keep myself safe, and I do a pretty damn good job of it, I think. But headphones is one of them, That's how I tune out all the extra shit, the spam of life, But I went back from break one day in October 18th, and I always have one headphone in at work, because we have a radio we have to listen for, right? But I always wear one headphone. But anyway, I came back and the other headphone was just broken in half. I took a picture of it and posted it and all kind of shit, right? So I'm like, what the fuck? I got my fucking headphones, bro. But again, that was still one of those, before I really had any proof, I don't have proof, but before I had solid, no, I know this was stolen, that, I was how do you tell somebody that? How do you report that? Yeah, man, somebody came into my room and broke one of my headphones. Well, are you sure you didn't just break it on your own? I'm like, dude, I would cry. The whole world would know if I broke one of my fucking Raycons, right? Because I'd be crying about that shit. And they were expensive, dude. It's expensive for me. But yeah, just pulled the fucker right apart. But again, I'm like, fuck, okay, now shit's getting real, and then I started noticing the stuff coming in, then I'm paying attention. Then it was vape pens, and that's just vape pens, over and over and over again. 2 in 1 week, actually. Fuck, okay, well now shit's going missing, and, now it's costing me money, right? Now it's I'm already resting on my laurels by taking this other bullshit, right? But now it's getting to a point where I have to say something, I have to say, this needs to stop. And it's not going to stop if I keep taking it, right? But I also have to know that it's going to escalate the moment I say something about it, because that's just, and it's already escalated. So that pattern is already there. The cycle of violence, there's violence on its own, but then there's the cycle of violence, right? And the cycle of violence is, part of that is, if you don't react, there's escalation, and then escalation for other reasons. But that's one of the reasons is, they're not getting your goat, so they have to find, they have to up the ante, okay? But again, I have no problems with these people. I like my boss. I liked him a lot. I even like that girl. I mean, I try to be cool with her, and I went to her fucking parties, I'm I get that she's a struggling girl, you know what I'm saying? She got some shit going on, she been in the life, and not everybody can just be no, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, right? And I get that. It costs a lot of fucking money. It costs a lot. Not just money, but it costs a lot to do that, right? Especially for this, because the domestic violence is so fucking pervasive into our culture, the war on women and shit, so that was, war on the bad women. If you follow the, whatever, the rules and shit, you'll be fine, but I do not. But anyway, so I get that she can't, and I try to love her where she is, not where I think she should be, right? And like I said, I was trying to be cool and be a normal person and be friendly with coworkers and stuff so that they don't find another, ooh, she doesn't like us or whatever it is. I wanted not to other myself, right? Because that's part of the thing is, part of that pattern and the stuff they ingrain into us is you isolate yourself to keep yourself safe, right? And I get that that's a great coping mechanism and it's worked for a long time, but avoiding all triggers is not going to help you get over your triggers, basically. Shit like that, right? Like, I have to learn how to adapt and reintegrate into normal society. So I'm trying, right? But now, it's like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do with this, man? Like, nobody's gonna believe me, and, and I know they're not. And they didn't, like, at first, I don't know if they do. But anyway, so I'm like, I've had enough, right? And I'm like, okay, I have to do something. And I did avoid it, because, like, November, it's almost Thanksgiving. The last, the beginning of November? Whatever. It's been a few weeks since I noticed the stuff going, like, really noticed. So it took me a second to be able to say something in the first place, okay? Because, whatever. Fuck. There's some nasty grease on that. Everything's gonna soak. So I'm trying to talk about this shit because to be able to talk about it, because I can't talk about it without like tripping. It's part of why I'm saying this. So now I have to do something. So the very end trigger of that was boss man came at me again about why weren't, what's going on with your rooms, Oh, back up a little bit. When I noticed this stuff going missing, I started leaving notes in my backpack. And, like, I even had a $100 bill in my wallet, too, that stayed there the whole time. They never took it. But ones and fives, shit like that would come up missing before, but, But anyway, I started leaving notes. Really, really shitty notes. like, that it would trigger, somebody. Maybe not the boss man, he seems pretty cool, but definitely the other girl. And it worked, because, like, her attitude changed like that, dude. Like, and so I'm like, okay, that's definitely what's going on. So, and then her attitude changed so much, like, drastically. And so did his. And I'm gonna say that he made a lot of comments, like, in front of everybody, that, dog whistly comments, that, like, only people from a certain group would understand what he's saying, right? Coded language, whatever. But again, that could be just mine. It could be his, right? So, and I know that's a gray area, so you gotta let that slide, right? But in my head, like, okay, he's escalating, and he's like, he knows that I know, right? And I'm like trying to figure it out. But she definitely, her whole attitude changed. So the other day, it was like on the 15th, finally I was like, all right, no, before that, the 14th. I was getting done late. And I just didn't care. Like, I've had it now, right? So I'm not hustling and trying to kill myself getting this done. And I know I'm going to be a little late, whatever. Anyway, I was late getting done. I come down to the, office to check in, clock out, all that shit. And he got me, he was like, hey, he called me out again. But, like, kind of shitty, like, real shitty. But he did it shitty, and in front of one of the other managers from a different department. And so it's like, he humiliated me. Like, I felt humiliated and, like, belittled, like, on its own. Aside from, all the context of the, it on its own was shitty. Within context, it was really shitty, okay? And but I played it off very cool. Like, I was just like, whatever. What was up with your rooms today? Or what's up with them rooms? And I'm like, they're rooms. I was cleaning them. That's how I answered it. Because, like, how, and We have lots of glue on that one. But anyway, called me out in front of the dude, freaked me out. I was cool about it right there in the moment. Did my shit, walked away. But as I walked away, I'm like filling out my other shit, and I'm gonna go back and go, you shouldn't have called me out in front of this person. That was rude. The door was closed, right? So I was like, all right, cool. Went about my way, and I just sent him an email. Hey, that wasn't cool. You know, if you have a problem with my performance, then you can, like, there can be a disciplinary action, but you cannot just punish me by humiliating me in front of someone else, like, to get your point across. Like, that's not cool. It's rude and unprofessional. And I even said, even though I don't care about unprofessionalism, like, but it was rude and humiliating, and I don't appreciate it. And then, of course, I went home and tripped, and then I'm tripping all night long. I'm like, okay, I have to fucking say something. Like, I'm just gonna keep tripping. I'm gonna get sicker now, okay? Because now my anxiety is through the fucking roof. You know, I know that he knows, he doesn't care, he can get away with anything he wants, you know, and he's got his little fucking henchmen to help him out, whatever. So, the next day I go to work, and I straight up told him, as we're done with our huddle, getting ready for the day, I said, just so you know, I will be forwarding that email to HR, the email that I sent you, because he didn't mention it, he didn't bring it up, nothing. I'll be forwarding that to HR, and I will be sending them an email myself, but I'm going to do that on company time, okay? So I'm going to be done a little late today. And he was just, you know, he's stone cold, okay, you know, like, you know, whatever. Cool. So I spent half the day writing a fucking email, and as soon as, like, I'm done, like, as soon as I hit send, man, I'm already tripping throughout the day doing this, because I'm, like, working and sending, you know, working and writing it, taking a break, working, writing it, and it's flustering me, because now it's going to be real, okay? Of course, as soon as I hit send, man, it's just, and I was like, oh, shit. So, back up again. Earlier that day, because I sent the email the day before, I told Bryce I was going to be sending in another email. The other boss, his boss, okay, said to me, like, halfway through the day, hey, could you come and talk to me after work? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So he has already been tipped off somehow. Well, Bryce, obviously. Told him, hey, you know, whatever, Tina said some shit. Sorry, bragging here. Anyway, so, as soon as I'm done sending that, and I know I'm like 3 rooms behind now, because it's taken so long, I radio up the big boss, hey man, can you call me in this room? Yep. Hey man, can you come up here and talk to me? Okay, cool. So he comes up there to talk to me, but now I'm like in a panic at this point. Like, I'm fucking trembling, the whole night, you know, full on PTSD'd out. And I'm trying to explain to him what's going on, and he's taking his notes, and it sounds crazy because I'm not even being as eloquent as I have been now, and that wasn't even that good, right? Like, I stammer so much when I'm trying to talk about this shit. Because it's very triggering. Like, it is not just this shit's happening now on its own, right? This pattern on its own. It's this pattern attached to that. You know, the reason why I have this shit in the first place, the PTSD, right? And that's, like, the point of it, is to trigger you from back here, you know, and have you trip out, and, like, everybody fucking knows it. If you're one of them dudes with the bro code, fuck you guys, they know it, right? And even if you're not, like, if you're at all savvy, like, you can just look at my face or any of my actions and be like, oh yeah, that chick has got some issues, right? And most likely, they're these issues, because that's just the fucking society we live in. So, like, it's obvious to anybody that, like, yeah, I'm one of those people, you can just spin me all you want, right? So, you know, regardless, you can spin me on its own, you know, but then if you know, and you're part of that fucking bro code, it's all attached to this, and you know it, you know? You know the keywords, the dog whistles, the trigger words, and, you know, they will use that against you, okay? And these people already knew that because, one, they get tax breaks for this certain criteria, one of which is disability, and whether you've been, you know, whether it's documented with the state or not, right? Like, even though it is, I've never got, like, SSI for it or anything like that, but I've gotten, like, food stamps and shit because I wasn't able to work for a while because of the PTSD, but it wasn't bad. They said it wasn't bad enough to get money, whatever. So there's, you know, they already know. but they get a tax break for that, right? And among other things, okay? 2, when I was getting hired, the HR from Oregon, the big head office, calls and said, hey, going through your stuff, we did your background check, all that stuff, but we just have a question about your background check. Cool. And I'm thinking they're going to bring up the fucking felony charge with the cop and the DV and all this stuff, but no. He wants to know what was up with the malicious mischief charge out of Sheldon. I was like, okay, well, to be honest with you, I was having a mental health episode related to divorce with my husband and the domestic violence, because that's on my record. He can see that too, right? No, I didn't even use the word domestic violence. I was being smooth about it, and I was like, related to my divorce, and I was at the hospital, and they said that I kicked a phone off the wall, and it was my word against theirs, and I pled no contest. So I just, mental health episode, divorce, no contest, right? And I said, I'm not on probation for it or anything, okay, alright, cool. And that's all they want to know about. They didn't ask about nothing else, right? Which I only have that. That was like the very first charge I had since I was a fucking kid, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a negligent driving. Anyway, that, and then the, 2 years later, whatever, it was the DV and the fucking felony charge and all that, but it's not conviction. But anyway, so they already know. Like, they have proof. And I have proof that they know, right? Like, she's one of those people you can fuck with. And then when I show up, like, not at all gangstered out, I'm just like, I just want to do my job and go home, because I'm not fucking fully recovered yet, They're like, oh, yeah, fucking, we can fuck with her like crazy. But I keep thinking that the culture is changing, okay? I keep getting little glimpses here and there of a changing culture. People that don't uphold that hierarchy and that chain of command and whatnot, right? Whether they know about it or not, no, I mean, the ones that know, like, they won't uphold it, right? And they'll take whatever it is that whatever penance they have to pay for not, coming down on my head, they'll just, they'll do it. They'll deal with it by, just letting me exist. So I keep thinking that the culture is changing, and I really thought that this place in particular would be different, more different than a large corporation, that sees everybody as a number, because these guys are smaller, they're regional, very artsy, you know what I mean? They're all about, they're right up my fucking alley, you know what I mean? Arts, they're about the arts, they're about the music, they're about, like, spirituality even, man. They just seem really fucking cool, so I'm like, you know what? They hired me, right? After hearing that, after seeing my shit, they hired me. And everyone there is nice, super cool. Almost love bombing cool. But again, that could just be my shit, so, what's mine, what's theirs, okay? I just thought that they were I thought they would be different, right? And so when I told Homeboy, like, I knew I was running the risk, but I just assumed that I could handle it, right? And I guess I am handling it, but I'm not handling it very well. Not at all. Because I tripped. When I talked to the big boss that day, when I sent the email to HR, I tripped. I haven't had a panic attack like that in ages. And it just went on for days, like... So I told him that day when I was leaving, I said, I'm not coming in tomorrow, And then, I get home and I'm like, even on my way home, I'm totally tripping. I get home, I trip some more. And so I tell him I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. That was Friday. I have to work. Or no, it was Friday, whatever. I told him I was taking Saturday off. Then when I get home on Saturday, I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm taking Sunday off. Monday and Tuesday are already my days off, right? Cool. So I'm going to try to come back in on Wednesday and do my laundry shift. So my laundry shift is not up mingling with everybody. It's in the dungeon. I stay in the laundry room all day, do my shit. I'll be able to see like 2 people all day, which is fucking great. But I only get that 1 day a week. Okay, I'll come in I told him, okay, I'll come in on Wednesday. It'll be perfect for me. Even that boss isn't there, the other boss, and she's not there. Okay, cool. I wake up that morning, I'm late, because I fell asleep and I didn't even plug my fucking phone in. It was just a mixture of a bad fucking day. So I woke up late. I called him, hey, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm on my way. I'll take a shower, get an Uber. But then, like, I get in the shower and I just fucking start losing it. Like, I'm like hyperventilating. I'm like, fuck. I get dressed. I'm getting dressed for work. I'm dressed for work. I'm trying to sit down. I'm trying to drink water. Shake it off. It is not shaking off. And now I'm like fucking nauseous. So I call him up. Bro, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. So I'll be there tomorrow. And I was. I showed up the next day. I did my shift. Without incident, right? Got done on time. The early on time, right? And let me back up a little bit too. Okay. So before then, it's on that phone. Damn it. So before then, after I told the boss and HR, okay? After that day, so that was the 15th. So it was the 16th? The 16th. I get a text from that girl with some vague-ass bullshit. I'm going to keep to myself for a while at work so that I don't lose my job. I'll always help out. I'm sending this to all my coworkers. But for no reason, right? Like, she sends me this out of nowhere, But she has no reason to know any of that, right? Like, she has no reason to know. She's just a coworker. She has no reason to know that I've emailed the boss, that I've emailed our supervisor that one day, that I emailed HR, and that I talked to the big boss. She has no reason to know that. But now she's suddenly tripping about losing her job, right? So, weird. So I come back to work that day. No problem. I'm a little trippy, but whatever. I'm doing my job, okay? And big boss wants me to talk to him after. Okay, cool. And so he comes down, and we go to a room and we talk. This is the bigger boss, the second boss. And he basically he's well, why would they do that? Like, now he's going into detail. Why would they do that? Like, what reason do they have to do that? And I'm like, well, fucking patriarchy, capitalism, whatever. Fucking, I don't know. Like this. I didn't say the words domestic violence, discrimination. But I was trying to explain it as safe as possible. So now I'm like on that teetering, trying to be safe, but also trying to call him out or educate, whatever. Either way, I'm fucking failing, right? But so this guy is his whole job is customer service, right? And he is the sweetest guy, dude. Super sweet. So saccharine customer service, it is unreal, okay? But he's the hotel manager, okay? He's the big boss, right? But he's very cool, very nice, very calming. And basically tells me he's not doing anything. He hasn't talked to the big boss that he was supposed to. He hasn't talked to my supervisor. He hasn't talked to the girl. He said that because I told them, if you can go back and look at the room access, because we all have the key cards, right, to get in and out of rooms, and we all have a different, they're assigned, each one of, this number. I asked them on the 15th, the first time I talked to him, in the email and when I talked to him, hey, could you check if you could check the room logs, right, the room access logs, then you would know, that would verify my story. But I also didn't think that they would. That was my initial fear was, even if he looked for sure, he's not going to say, yeah, we found it, because that's it's huge. It's huge for them. It's liability when they can just say, no, we didn't see it, Nobody else is going to advocate for that, right? Because if they said they didn't, nobody else did, then nobody else did, right? Even if they did. So they have no reason to, other than to be good fucking people, right? To do this right. And I know that I am one person who's already causing trouble, right? Against two people, one that is a total yes man and will do anything to keep that job, because she has even worse barriers to employment than I do, okay? Which I appreciate. To my own fucking detriment. And they're not going to get rid of the boss because he's already trained and he's a boss and, and he will do whatever is necessary, right? So I know that I'm the odd man out, and I know that that I will lose, especially at this point, and I tell that because the boss is asking me, well, what are you worried about? I'm worried about retaliation, worried about it getting worse, the escalation, what else? What are they gonna do next, Because it's crazy, like the whole thing is crazy, and it's like been going on for a while, right? Like, yeah. So, by the end of his thing, he says, no, they are not going to check the room logs because it's been too long. We need to do it like that day. And I know that's not true, but I'm like, just sitting there, okay, well, so basically he's doing nothing. He's not going to bring it to anybody's attention. It's between him and HR knows about it, and then eventually the big boss of our building will know about it, right? And they'll just keep it quiet to themselves, and then some shit will happen, and, I'll end up getting blamed, and I'll be the one out the door, right? But I know that he can, check the room logs, right? And that's all you have to do is check the room logs. Okay, because his deal was, he doesn't believe me, right? Is my word against theirs. But it's not my word against theirs because they have the fucking room logs, okay? But he won't check the room logs. So I go home and I'm Googling and I'm like, these motherfuckers keep this shit for a month at least. Most people keep it longer. Most hotels will keep that access data longer. Because for liability reasons, right? Insurance, all kind of shit. So now I'm like, okay, fuck this shit. Because now, if that boss is going to either A, turn a blind eye, or B, support the behavior, then I have no support there at all, right? I'm literally me against the entire fucking building, right? And anybody else who knows, because I haven't been running around telling anybody about this, any of the coworkers, nothing, because it's not their business, and I'm not there to cause drama. I just want to do my fucking job, So then it's like I'm literally I'm setting myself up for failure, right? I'm walking right into a fucking trap, basically. Because we already have previous knowledge of well then why would you go there, Why would you go there if you know this happened, Well, duh. Okay, well I have barriers to employment and I fucking like my job and I shouldn't have to run anymore. That's why we're here in this first fucking place, because I didn't want to run. I ran my whole life for someone else's bullshit. I'm not gonna run again. Fuck you. Fuck you. TPD. Ugh. That's why the shit all went sideways in the first place, is because I refused to run. And so this is, the price I pay for staying in my home, but all of it has been, all the years of the homelessness and the fuckery and the stalking and just to remind me of, you're never getting ahead in life, which, okay, fine, I understand, it is what it is, but I still have to live, and I'm still going to, right, and I'm still going to fight as much as I can, and now I've already had to lose 2 jobs, right, well, 3 if you count DoorDash, because, but that was due to the fucking criminal record, okay, and my only criminal record is tied to this motherfucker, right? So I've given as much as I can to that, and now it's I'm living within this system, okay? This systemic violence, okay? But I know that I can't just be like, hey, I'm here, I'm queer, fucking change all your ways, right? Cool, I know that. That's just that's not how you live in harmony with the world. But I do have to do my part to change it, right? Which means standing up for myself and advocating for myself. Well, I've stood up for myself now, but I didn't advocate for myself very good. Even the shit that, half the shit I told you guys just now, I forgot to say in there, even though I had notes. It just didn't come out right, So, but I do believe that, it is that I have a job to do, a cosmic job. I believe we all have cosmic jobs to do, right? How we operate in this world and things that, the legacies we leave behind, and maybe not even they know it was you, but you did something good in the world, right? And I have fully believed this for many, many years. I'll save you the backstory. Go watch the rest of this bullshit. All my other bullshit, you'll see. but it's my job, to stand up for myself in order to do that legacy thing, right? To leave any kind of change, to make ripples, right? Pebbles in the pond kind of deal, right? To make my change in the world. That's how I have to do it, right? I'm not, obviously not a public speaker, so I can't be like, hey, I'm going to go on a fucking book tour and, be a motivational speaker or some shit and educate people about fucking systemic domestic violence, But at least I can do it here in my own little corner of the world, and that itself will cause ripples, right? And I've known this for a while, and that's why I have done everything I've done until now. That's why I did the crazy shit in that house with the paint. That's why I do the crazy shit on the street art, That's why, But now the universe has got me here, okay? Got me to this point that now I have to, it's like almost, it's going to sound really fucked up, and it's not the way it sounds, but it's going to sound fucked up. It's almost as if the universe gave me a gift, okay? Here's your opportunity, once again, to, But I kind of thought the same thing even when I got fucking arrested for domestic violence, for defending myself. I thought, okay, now's my chance to be like, no, and rectify that. But no, the whole system was just like, fuck you, this is what you get. And it's like, fuck, So like, okay, well, I just gotta take it. But here I am again. It's all come full circle one more time. And they asked me that today. So I had a meeting today with the boss, the big boss, and the big boss. Okay, so the guy who runs the whole building, the entire building. General manager? Yeah. And then, the district manager, I think, right? Okay. And they were very cool about everything. And I've been trying to prepare, right? And write all this stuff down. Because I told them back up. I told the boss. So after that day, he was like, no, we're not going to look at the things, and we're not going, we're just going to keep an eye on these guys, right? And then remind everybody. That was his, how he was going to wrap all that up. He's not going to look at the room key access thing. He hasn't yet and doesn't really plan on confronting anyone. And he will blanket tell everyone, remind us all about professional boundaries. That was his solution to all that. And then I left, and I was like, no. After I no, this is not okay. That you're not doing anything. Literally, you're doing nothing. And, so I emailed him, told him, hey, this is not okay. It's unacceptable. I'm being discriminated against. And so then I also emailed him, emailed the HR. I'm being discriminated against. I'm being harassed. I believe this is why, for retaliation for domestic violence and stalking, because I told this guy I was being stalked, right? I believe that's why. And I don't feel safe. If that's how, they're going to support that, then I don't feel safe coming back to work, right? And I don't. And not only do I feel safe, how little self-respect would you have to just keep going back and taking that, right? Especially after, going this fucking far and... if I was just going to take some bullshit, I would have stayed with my old man, right? So, yeah. And I told him, I'm not coming back. Then not until, I got to talk to somebody, and I do not feel safe. For valid reasons, I don't feel safe, okay? Because now I'm just in the middle of a fucking PTSD freak out for days, and that shit takes a minute to come down from, man. So I'm trying to tell them today what's going on, and they're asking all these questions, and I had tried to prepare, and I wrote a bunch of notes. I wrote a bunch of notes about how to concisely explain the patriarchy, but without just saying the fucking patriarchy, right? How to explain systemic domestic violence and structural violence, right? Dominator culture, call it capitalism if you want to, whatever, okay? Boss didn't have to capitalize on this, but he chose to, okay? So that it would be capitalism, whatever. But he didn't have to. And if he had to, that's on him. He's bringing he's letting his cultural his culture and his politics affect his professional. He's using his professional position to enact his fucking cultural vengeance or some shit, right? Because the bro code, right? So they specifically asked me about the bro code. Had a whole bunch of fucking notes written down about it, and now I'm back at that point in my head. Now I'm feeling my body, the whole, like, it just goes back on itself, right? Right back to where you started. And I look small. I can't get my words out. I can't breathe. I'm starting to shake. My fucking mouth is going dry. Kind of like it is right now. And I got a few of the words out. Because that was the plan. You know what? Fuck this. If I'm going down, I'm going on swinging, and I'm going to educate these people. And I did not. I mean, I got most of the point across, but not at all what I wanted to. Because I constrict, and now I don't feel safe, because it's never safe to say these words. Why would it be safe now? Even though this is what you waited for, right? I didn't say it. They kind of got it, but whatever. And, I'm having to tell this to one of the guys, because she's going, okay, well, what about him, and I'm like, and I even told him, sorry, dude, like, this is the way it is, and, maybe you don't play like that. That's not my problem. Like, this is what I know. This is how it goes. This is what it is. And he was cool. Oh, yeah, cool. No, whatever. And so she's asking me, like, well, how do would you feel safe coming back to work? And it's like, and I don't understand how to tell them, like, I don't feel safe, but I never feel safe, right? Okay, I know how to keep myself safe and mitigate danger, but if this was possible, this coordinated attack, right, was possible, and there was a coordinated lack of support, what is to stop something else, in the next, and how is that going to escalate? Because it's already shown a pattern of escalation. How is it going to escalate again? And I said that to him in so many words. But, and she's like, what are you trying to get out of this? And I'm like, or what do you want to see happen? I think, and because she talked about fire, and I was like, dude, I don't want anybody to get fired. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's life. I'm trying to do my job. I'm trying to live within this structure, and I'm also like, I want to change the culture. I don't want to hurt people. I want to change the culture. I want to advocate for myself. That's my bottom line. I don't know if I'm going to feel safe. I can see it right now. I feel like shit coming in here. Like, it already is weird. However, because now she says that they are looking into the room access, whatever. And they were both, the long and the short of all that, they were both very supportive. They both said that they believed me. Because I did explain to them and to everyone else that I had spoken to in this thing is, okay, why would they do that? I don't know. I have my theories. But why would I say this? Like, why would I make this shit up? And even if I just thought this was happening, like, and am smart enough, intelligent enough to put it together, then why would I say this and sound crazy in front of I'm the only person that has anything to lose, right? I have no reason to make it up. But I have every reason, as far as, like, my dignity and my integrity goes, and the future of my fucking children, and your children. Like, literally, like, we have to change this shit, right? I'm doing my part to change the shit. But I don't feel I'm doing it very well, because it's fucking wearing on me. It's wearing on me. And it's shit that you can't prove, and they can, and I don't know. But I agreed, to come back to work, probably like a dumbass. I don't feel very solid right now, you know what I mean? You can tell, like, it was very triggering trying to talk to them about this shit. But and I'm pissed off at myself, because they were very receptive to it, right? And gave me room to explain that piece of education, that was like, it feels like that was my chance, and I blew it. Even though they kind of got it, but whatever. It's pissing me off that this shit affects me so much physically that when I open my mouth to speak, even after like years of like fighting, you know, climbing up this fucking hill to get here, right? I'm like, bro code, you know. So I'm gonna go back to work, and I will do my shit to mitigate the damage, as far as like lock my fucking backpack back up, right? And you know, but I don't know what I would do about them fucking with my stuff, but whatever. That's the only thing I can do is lock my backpack up so they can't steal anymore, right? But again, the point wasn't to like steal stuff. It was to get my attention, because I had just let it slide for so long and didn't react. They wanted a reaction, and that's the whole point of now escalating to the breaking of the headphones, because something I have all the time. You know, taking the vapes, stealing the whatever. The point was to get my attention, and they've got it. But I don't. So where I'm at now is they got my attention, right? And I need to address this and deal with this properly, right? Because normally what happens is, you know, people, they play this fucking game, right? See? Freaking out. Normally what happens is, as survivors, we turn crazy, okay? PTSD, borderline, bipolar, whatever it is, right? That you get some fucking diagnosis, and you go wherever, and if you know, the next place you go with your job or relationship or whatever it is, you know, and if they're playing that same fucking game, then the whole point is to use your symptoms against you. So whatever you got from that, you know, is to use it against you and to make you freak out, okay? BPD people, like borderline people and shit will, you know, tend to, like, that's one of their hallmarks, is they flip out, right? And that's the common reaction for bitches like me, is to freak out. And I knew that, right? I know this, and I knew this back then when I painted in Shelton, right? Like but you know, I was supposed to freak out in a different way, but whatever. You know, I did it as best as I could. But so that's, you know, when I really, really got to understand it, was then it was like, okay, well, so between then and now, I have been working on healing so that I don't do that, right? So that I don't turn into a monster, you know? So I don't turn into the monster that my mother's become, right? That's one of the biggest things, because then they win, right? And that's where I'm all about, like, fighting the system with love and shit, right? Like, you have to fight it, but you have to fight it with love. I can't just go and nuke the whole fucking place, right? Strategic bombing or whatever, you know, whatever analogy you want to use. There's so much fucking grease on this pan, dude. But that was the deal, is they're waiting for me to trip the fuck out, and I won't, you know? So I'm not tripping out on them by any means, but I am, like, fucking self-destructing. Like, I'm drinking like crazy the last few weeks, and it's, you know, and it's triggered, you know, it's triggered the PTSD, and that, you know, that leads to the other bullshit, you know, coping mechanisms, you know, self-destruction, limited cognitive ability, you know, impairment, whatever, feeling unsafe, all that shit, right? Like, the whole fucking textbook bullshit. That's where I'm at, right? I haven't had, like, full-on flashbacks or anything, by any means, thank God. But, that's kind of the whole point of that, is to make you feel like you're right back there, you know? So I need to find a way to do this without melting down, you know what I mean? Without melting down, without alienating myself, because that's like the whole point of it is to like the whole point of it, but the whole point of fighting with love is to let everyone know who lives in this culture, right? This particular type of culture, that I'm not here to cause you harm, right? But I am not going to not be here just because you're here too. Like, this land is our land, bro. This land is your land. This land is my land, okay? I'm not coming in your house, but we're on the same land, and it's our fucking land, right? And I think that's pretty fucking cool. Like, no one else everyone else either, like, if you can't beat them, join them, or they just trip, right? And they just want to fucking nuke everything. And yes, I do want to change the culture. I think it's fucked up. There's no reason. There's just no reason. It's like, there's nothing good comes out of it at all, except for, like, the sadistic fucking need, feeding someone else's sadistic needs for control, right? Like this is going to happen to my boss's daughter. My boss has a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, something like that. Little kid. He dotes about her all the time. He loves her. I mean, he's proud daddy, right? It's the sweetest thing. But, like, in his mind, and in that fucking structure, he believes that chain of command, him coming down on me, is going to save her, right? Because he's doing his part, and he'll, his family will be insulated, blah, blah, blah. But he won't. She won't. It will come back on her as well, because it always does. It may have secured her place a little bit farther down the line, but she's on the chopping block, just like I am, just like my daughter is. You know what I mean? Like, we all are, and we will always be on that chopping block until we change the culture. And it's not going to change overnight, and I understand that. It's been many a year, and I'm going to keep trying, because of my daughter. Because of me, right? It shouldn't have happened to me. None of this shit should. I don't deserve any of this shit. Any of this shit. There's some dumb shit I did, absolutely, that I deserve some dumb shit for. Don't get me wrong. But, like, most of the shit that's happened to me since, like, throughout my divorce and since, and all the hell that I've lived through since, surreal nightmare fuel. None of that. I, deserve none of that, dude. I don't hurt kids. I don't throw other people under the bus. I'm not trying to be a fucking Nazi about anything, you know what I mean? Like, good, bad, or ugly. I just want to exist in this world as well. And I have every right to. Exist in this world and fight that, because that's it. It is. Yeah. We'll get into more of it later, I guess, but it's the same culture that it's not even adjacent. It's the exact same. It's pedo culture. And like these bro code dudes will like compartmentalize it, and be like, no, this is the alternative to pedo culture. No, it's not. This is not the alternative to pedo culture. It's not. It's just you just put it off. They will hurt her later. She will get hurt later. All of our kids will, because of this shit. Like, unless we fucking stop it, And it's not just women. I mean, I have to talk about it from my lens, right? But the same structure is, used on men as well, for different reasons, whatever. But that's the biggest, the most pervasive part of that is, using it on women, especially white women, And that's like, I hate to go there because, we all anti-woke and shit, but it really is, like, it's straight up, like, KKK shit. It's rooted in white supremacy, old school white supremacy, about, the white men keeping their white women in line, right? And using each other to do that, okay? But then also using other people to do that, other women, other races, and so everyone is like a stakeholder in this culture, even so, and this can be fucking retarded, right? But saying, okay, this girl, because this coworker that I believe is part of stealing my shit is a black girl, okay? Oh, well, how could she possibly be, white supremacy? I'm not saying she's a white supremacist. I'm saying this pattern of behavior deeply rooted in the, you know, those guys, the KKK, you know, the way they take care of shit. But you don't have to, you know, you don't have to be a fucking Nazi to, like, benefit from Nazi behavior, you know? And that, to me, is, like, without race at all, like, that's Nazi shit. Like, that's fascist for sure. Like, you know, fucking gassing this Jew, man. And, but I did tell him, I did at least manage to get that part out, to let them know, look, I'm not here trying to fucking ruin anybody's day. I'm not trying, you know, to hurt anybody's life. You know, I want to change the culture, and I want to advocate for myself, and I don't want to keep taking this, you know. And even if nothing good comes out of it, then at least I tried, you know. At least I didn't just take it again. And I briefly mentioned, you know, because I told him it's not my first rodeo. I mentioned my job at the tribe that I had to resign from, that they forced me to resign from, and the arcade, right, and the shit that, you know, and the reasons why I couldn't, you know, stand up for myself then. The thing with the tribe is, like, they're way too fucking big and, like, dirty. Dirty as fuck. And my kids belong to it, and I knew that if I fucked them over, whatever, there's no way I could have fought back on that. And I tried to fight back on that, honestly. I've said this before in other videos. I went to fucking lawyers, and all of a sudden their phone would start ringing, and they get off the phone and be like, yeah, we can't help you. And it's like, okay, great, you know, it's one of those people. But trying to explain, I hopefully, the whole point was to get across to them that I am not here trying to cause trouble. I've already done so much, like, as I'm working here, to mitigate anything that's mine, right? The damage that I already come pre-programmed with, right? I don't want to put that on other people, you know, and I don't. I had only mentioned it to the boss, and I did end up mentioning it to the girl, because she was texting me from a different number, like, literally the next day after fucking Seth was texting me from different numbers for days, and I was, like, fuck you, man, like, you know, talking some shit, and then she was like, whoa, it's just me, and I'm like, oh, hey, sorry, you know, because she got a new phone. I'm like, yeah, sorry, man, I'm going through some shit, and, you know, fucking ex and whatnot, and she's like, oh, yeah, haha, you're a gangster, right? But I don't go around work telling everybody about my fucking business. I did with the one chick. I've told the girl, who's the problem, the boss, and this one lady who got hired after me, who's very nice. I like her a lot. She painted me a picture. I mean, she's very nice. It's just peaches, man. Peaches and cream. That's what I meant to say. But she knows all the. She's from the tribe. She knows all the same dudes, you know. And she was talking about the fucking cops there, and I was like, oh. And even then, I was in that fucking moment. I was like, man, you just shut the fuck up. You know, like, I'm like, wait a second. Like, no, fuck that. Fuck that. Like, because. See? Freaking out. And that's why I decided to do this stream, was to fucking say it, because I've been freaking out about all this. But I didn't get a chance to say it in front of them because I was freaking out too much. When shit first hit the fan for me, right? When I first started to understand that this was bigger than me and my husband's divorce, right? A bunch of shit was going on. Crazy shit, right? To get my fucking attention. And one day, right in the midst of all this, right, at the very beginning of it, I got, on the same day, I got prank phone calls from a funeral home, okay? A local funeral home. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name. I've been trying to remember, but it was a rough time. Okay. But I got prank calls, and I mean prank calls, not just like, oh, wrong number, but like, are you sure you didn't call? Are you sure you don't need our services? Like, it was fucking weird, bro. And then that very same day, I got life insurance paperwork on my lawn. Like, not on my lawn, like at my front door. From a tribal member who just so happens to be this chick's dad. like, yeah, the chick at work, the older lady that I'm talking about. She was really nice, but she was the other one I told, because, you know, she got there and she brought it up, and yeah. So I don't even know what to do with that. I really don't. That could just be, you know, cosmic fuckery. I don't know. You know, could be part of the lesson to fucking learn here. I don't know. But I'm not, you know, I'm not making her pay for that. You know what I mean? She didn't do that. At least I don't think she did. You know, it could be the weirdest fucking COINTELPRO op in the whole fucking world, right? Or it could just be the universe do us like that sometimes, right? Cool. Well, I'm trying to learn how to deal with that. I am trying to learn how to deal with the universe doing me like that without destroying everything, right? Like, and I'm not trying to fucking blow up buildings. I want to fucking live here, man. And I deserve it. I have every right to, you know, and that's where I am with this whole fucking job thing. It's not right. Yes, it is what it is. And that's why I took it for so long, because I know it is what it is. But, you know, I gotta stand up for it eventually, and this is what I'm gonna do. So, here we are. Yeah. I found it kind of funny that when I say this comes full circle, and it might only make sense to me, I don't know. But the reason I was forced to resign at the tribe that they used was that I had already like tapped out a bunch of FMLA, right? Because they did a lot. They did a bunch to cover their asses for that, right? I had to quit. I quit on my own once when it first went down. I took many months off, being medicated and rocking in a rocking chair, bro, just like trying to come down, right? And then when I got better, they hired me back, okay? But as soon as they hired me back, like everything changed. Like nothing was the same at all. Like everyone just like it was surreal. But it came to a point where, you know, now I have, you know, I reconnected with the ex like a fucking idiot. But still, sometimes we do that, right? Because he also had me convinced that this was bigger than me and him, right? And other people did too, so many reasons. And that, you know, it wasn't just me who was in danger, it was all of us, whatever, blah, 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 right? So, I thought me and him were going to, you know, take on the world. But, you know, that's what I get for believing in dumb. So, but I had been taught, we'd talked, we were living together, I think, but we were talking, hanging out, and, but I was at work, and he was still working for the tribe too, but for a different, he was working for law enforcement as a consultant, because they let him resign instead of opening the investigation that they should have. They let him resign, but then they brought him on as a consultant when they were building the new jail. That he was on the transition team or whatever, and he was making bank, bro. So now the shit's getting crazy again. Like, cause things had kind of calmed down, but shit's getting a little crazy again. But also, I'm hanging out with the ex, so you know, whatever. But now they want me to. So the tribal police helped him cover all that up, right? He never got in trouble for any of that. I mean, they covered up the like actual crimes he did at work, right? Again, which was bigger than I had any idea at the time. They helped him cover that up, and they helped him get out of and cover up the domestic violence that he was perpetrating on me, right? But it was the police, his police coworkers, and the other police, like TPD and, you know, fucking whatever. Fucking gang. But now, we, at this point in time, 2015? 14? 15? 15. It's March 2015, and I'm starting to take time off again, because now I'm, like, freaking out a little bit, and they want me to be on, like, I'm working at the DV place, at the office, and in the shelter, and now we're, like, you know, we're not just being advocates for clients, we're educating community, doing outreach, shit like that, right? part of the education we had to do, part of our job was to do like these trainings where we get trained, but then also we train other people, right? And they'll show up to your work and like, you know, this is how domestic violence works, and this is how it can affect your community, and this is how it can affect your job, and blah blah blah, right? But they want us to educate our police officers, the tribal police officers, the same tribal police officers that helped him perpetrate it on me, right? And I'm trying to tell my boss, like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't, like, one, how can you fucking ask me to do this? But she's already been weird since I got back, right? We're no longer homies, you know, because she had a job to do, whatever. But I'm like, I can't do this. So I'm like, anyway, I request time off and take the time for my birthday. They want, and this training that we're supposed to do is scheduled for the anniversary of the very first time he whooped my ass. Like, it was just surreal. And that was the one meeting that Bryce was going to write me up for. Missing was the one that was the day after the anniversary of that, right? It's fucking weird. Right? And you know, maybe that just only makes sense to me, and that's fine. But the shit's actually happening, right? That's the worst part of it, is it's actually happening, and I have to deal with it. And I know that odds are I will lose. There's a very good, like I said, there's a very good chance that even though I know that somebody entered this room, there's a very good chance that that will never be proven, right? I haven't washed these pans for months, dude. I haven't done dishes for months. So there's a very good chance that that could happen. And I just have to deal with it, right? Because what else am I going to do? You know, how am I going to fight that? I don't believe that a lawyer would help me, because, like I said, I've been down this road before. And, you know, they have a job to do too, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what I'm expecting from all of it. But I know what I have to do. You know, like whether it's like what God has tasked me to do in my life or the universe, but I've tasked myself with it. You know, and I started tasking myself with this back then. You know, and it's part of the same task. You know. And I'm pissed off that I got so flabbergasted when I had the opportunity to tell them, you know. Which is kind of goofy because, like, in my, you know, if you, like, think about it logically, like, well, then if everybody's in on it, then they already know about it. Okay, well, yeah, true. But still, they're not going to be the ones to speak truth to it, right? So I have to. And I didn't. And I even had a whole bunch of fucking notes and everything. And there's just a bunch of shit I forgot to tell him, and shit that I couldn't say, and whatever. Like how Bryce was trying to be my backdoor man. But not like that. I don't know, man. Yeah. What the fuck do I do with this shit, man? What the fuck do I do with it? And how will it get worse? How is it going to escalate next? You know? It's always like, I don't know, man. I way too much. You know, way too much. I look at stuff like, what is this supposed to teach me? You know, what lesson am I supposed to learn from this? And usually it is, like, how to advocate for yourself, how to stand up for yourself, how to be the change you wish to see in the world, right? So I'm trying to be the change. But it sucks the effects of that already, like the PTSD, it like literally stops me from doing it. Even when I had like a safe space, a safe environment to like, to say that, to say what I needed to say, to people that could help. I mean, they have the power to help, right? Maybe not change the whole culture, but I do believe that them having my back, right, and being honest, like if they, given it face value, okay, I believe their support and their support alone, just today, I believe that already creates ripples in the universe, okay, I really do. But they could just be paying me lip service because, they are HR people and their job is to protect the company, and I get that. But our jobs as humans is to protect each other, right? And to protect our future generations and all that shit, okay? If they really do continue to be supportive, right? And I'm not saying kiss my ass, like I don't want none of that. I just want to do my fucking job, bro. Get them off my fucking back, right? Let me do my job. The culture has not caught up with the laws, but the laws say I have rights at work. These are some of those rights, okay? This is how they are being violated. Deal with it. Do your fucking job, right? I totally believe that if they did their job and they did it right, that alone, and even if nothing ever came from it, right? There was no lawsuit, somebody got fired, whatever, you know what I mean? Or even if there's full injustice, like any of it, them doing it helps change the culture, It does their part, their little piece. They can't come and advocate for me out here in the world, but they can do their part to help the culture catch up with the laws, right? Because if they're worried about the laws and breaking the laws and, whatever, then that's their job in this. Because it just always, it only takes one person to help, It takes one person to make a difference, period, And just them saying, hey, no, we are going to look at those. She never did say, but I did press her about it. Yeah, she never did say, oh no, we can access that room stuff. She just kept saying that they are going to investigate it, right? And that they are going to look at the data. But she never did say how long it was kept. So again, she could be paying me lip service, man. To stay as long as I can to make it seem fine and then fire me for some other bullshit. Or again, make me quit, escalate it and make me crazier so that I just quit. And, yeah, just get another job, right? Okay, well, yeah, cool. Same shit's gonna happen there, right? I'm just gonna have to go through it there. That's gonna be, whatever we resist persists, right? And, karma, the laws of karma, make sure that shit keeps coming back around to you so that you can face it and then deal with it. That's your unfinished business. And this is my unfinished business, basically, If I died today, I would be haunting this whole motherfucking place because this is my unfinished business. It's my mom's unfinished business. It's fucking probably your mom's unfinished business. My grandma's unfinished business. It's Big Boss's unfinished business, right? Because he's subject to the same bullshit. Anyway. I go back tomorrow. And we'll see what happens, I guess. Well, you can judge me if you want to, but I'm putting soap on my fucking cast iron because it needs it. I don't know, man. It just sucks. I was like I was like getting so good, like feeling so good and so much better, like to the point where, like, because that's the reason why I even applied for housekeeping in the first place with places was because, okay, what are my weaknesses? You know, I have to work, so I gotta do something. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? I can work independently, and I can meet a deadline normally, and my weaknesses are fucking people, right? And I know that the world is not responsible for my triggers, but I am responsible for my own. Hey, I have to do a thing over here. So, how about a job where I can work independently and not be bothered, or minimize the minimize the time spent around others. So then that way I don't have to worry so much about what's mine and what's theirs, right? Like, what's mine, what's yours. So that was the whole point of housekeeping, right? And then the first housekeeping job I got, I didn't realize until after I started, was that it was tag team all day long. And it was right next to somebody, with somebody all day long, and that was a little much. And but I was working it. It was helping me out, actually. Like, it was really helping as far as like my recovery goes, right? But it was painful, like physically painful, the job itself, because it was just not enough for what we were doing. And it was again like having it was like being an advocate again, a social worker, without any of the help, like any of the supports. Not that being a social worker has many supports at all, but lots of vicarious trauma there. So it just wasn't worth it. But okay, well, I'll go here. They pay more, and it was a place that I'd already applied for because they're cool as fuck. You know, a little weird, but everybody's a little weird. You know, nothing is gonna be just not fucking weird in this world, right? But anyway, the point of that was I went out of my way to work at a place that I thought was cool. They probably wanted to change that kind of culture too, right? And that I could just be on my own and deal with my own shit, right? But I have been getting so much better to where I was starting to think, man, maybe I should. Maybe I'll apply for bartending. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I can work with the public soon. You know, like, and not be so sick, PTSD sick. You know, because I miss being social. You know what I mean? I miss fucking money. Holy shit, that makes so much money. But I miss the fucking world, man. I mean, I really do. I miss having friends. I miss having, fucking all that shit. The other one I had to put on the stove, let it boil. I have to figure that out. Because these sat for a very long time. I like to joke and say that I haven't done dishes since the last time you guys watched me do dishes, but it's not that far off from the truth. I keep doing like little bits of them. I did them all one time. But I've been slacking. But I've been distracted. So I needed to come on here and say all that shit because I couldn't get it out there. There's a whole bunch more, but I'm apparently still not in the space to do it. I keep thinking I need to be in the right, it needs to be the right time in the right place, but like, hey, what better place than here? What better time than now, right? Well, that was today, and I kind of blew it. But Big Boss's phone did start dinging as soon as I start talking that kind of shit about that part in particular, the culture and the bro code and all that. So, joke's on him. So I have to go back to work tomorrow and do laundry, which is great. I love doing laundry. keep doing my job. So thanks for listening. Send your love, send your strength, send your support, please. It can be quietly. Like, you don't have to actually text me or anything, but send prayers. I'd like to get my smile back and not have to be completely lit to do it. So yeah. Thanks.